What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to Your Ex-Drinking Buddy. My name is Brennan Tassif. I'll be your host. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. Check out the merch store at brennantcomedy.com/merch-store. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. We'll put the shorts up there, the full video, the whole thing. Thank you so much for listening. I love it. I hope you love it. Subscribe on Patreon, too. We do bonus episodes. I do Tales from the Restaurant, where I talk about celebrities I've waited on and whether they're assholes or not, which is super fun. Also, we do a pre-show banter for my other show, Cheers from the Press Box with Joe Dorville. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on over there, too. Make sure you just subscribe everywhere, just all over the place. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're not leaving the mean comments, thank you for that. Maybe leave a couple nice ones.
Grab me a beer and grab me a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. There's going to be a graphic there. I'm your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown on the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do, hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories. I am sober now, but it's still one of my favorite things to do, hang out with somebody and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I will be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from Brooklyn, technically Queens, New York, Travis Przybylski.
Hey, yeah, it's electric in here.
What's
I
up, dude?
hate that joke, man. I just did the most generic hack open mic. This audience, this energy's electric.
Yeah, we love it. Give it up for the host, everybody.
Let's give it up for the host, guys. Let's give it up for Brendan here.
Oh, I didn't even mean to do that.
No.
I was just trying to think of the
fucking
most
around.
generic thing people do at mics.
Should I not curse? We can curse.
You can
right?
fucking say whatever you want.
Fuck yeah.
What's up, dude?
Just a slur. No.
Anything I want? The God.
Okay. Yeah, no, I chilling, man. Yeah, technically Ridgewood, Queens. I lived in Bushwick before that, and
It was interesting because when you were telling me about the train situation to get here, because we were talking about this before, but a lot of comics either live in Astoria, where I'm at, or live in Brooklyn.
Right.
And when you were telling me how you were getting here, I go, he's a Brooklyn guy. I should have known because you're talking about the trains and all this kind of stuff. And then when you got here, you're like, well, technically I do live in Queens. And I was like, wait, what?
Well, it's like a mental thing. It sucks to like make the realization that it's like I'm leaving my borough, going into another borough, just to come back to my borough.
Yep, just to come back to your original borough.
City planners, what's going on? We need north and south in Queens and Brooklyn, you know?
Yeah, they've been talking about that train for a while.
Yeah,
There's no
dusty
train
buses.
coming.
Only the G and buses. It's dust.
And the G sucks.
Yeah. I would like. There was a second where my girlfriend and I we were looking at. We were like thinking about like Greenpoint maybe, and we were like maybe we'll splurge and like try to like go above our budget. Which thankfully we didn't. But it's also like the G sucks.
Yeah, I had a buddy, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Fulcheron, who I'll be on tour with this spring. He lived in Greenpoint, and when we recorded our The Power of How podcast, our positivity one, it was like, because we record on Sundays because that was my day off, and trying to get from here or where I lived on the Upper East Side to Greenpoint on a Sunday when trains are only running like every 25 minutes, it sucks.
Like I get it. I get like the need to like, you know, hold work until night and like, you know, or the weekends or whatnot. But God, like the weekends are the most bustling. It's like we're trying to have fun. Like, can we just can we have trains that work on the weekends? You know, like that's all I want, because like it feels disrespectful to non-office workers, you know?
Yeah, and the city's full of people who don't work in office. I mean, it's full of people who work in offices, but it's also full of people who don't.
Yeah. Remote working is a thing now.
Well, not even that, but like the restaurants, the fashion, the like entertainment, like we all got jobs too.
And also, like, people come in on the weekends, and it's like you're representing the city. Not like I love Bridge and Tunnel crowd, but I'm technically Bridge and Tunnel. I'm from New Jersey, so like, you know, I'm technically Bridge and Tunnel at my core. But like, we want to make it fun. We need the nighttime and the fucking weekends working, and then it's like, oh, New York's great. Instead of Fox News, it's like, where's the fucking hello?
It's interesting. You know? Everyone in my family, not everyone, that's a super overstatement. There's a couple people in my family in Florida who are very conservative, and all they do is watch Fox News. So I get these random texts where it's like, are you okay? And I'm like,
there was a fire in the Bronx. Are you good?
There's a shooting at sunset in Brooklyn. I was like, I live like an hour and a half away from there.
You're like, I couldn't get there by 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
if
I wanted to.
I think
Before we get too far in anything, plug everything up front. Social media, the shows, the movies, everything you've been on. Plug
Dude,
everything.
I feel like such a hack doing this. I mean,
You got to do it. I
I'm
don't
not
know why this audio is fucking up.
No, if I'm fucking up too, I probably am moving a lot. I check me out. I did Law and Order SVU. I was on the 5th episode this season. I don't know. 5th
Played
episode.
a creepy guy.
Yeah, played a creepy guy. It was sick. Yeah, a victim and a suspect.
Ooh.
Not to give too much away, but it's already out.
Was it a 5 under 5 or was it over 5?
No, it was my first substantial meaty role. You
Let's
know what
go.
I mean? I was excited. I was top of show guest star billing, and like I actually have an arc. I have more importance than just delivering information in a line or two.
When the cops walk into a room and you go, I think she went that way.
Yes. Yeah.
Can we take that again? I think I can do better. I think she went that way.
Jonathan Strauss, you watching? Brendan Tassif, he's available, except for in the spring, he's touring. I hate myself. God, that sucked.
Water. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so you were on SVU. You got the Jack Links thing going.
Yeah, I mean, I was in that. It was a combo deal. Jack Links and Bush Light. They did I guess they realized that their target demographic
Is the same.
is you. And and they were like, we should collab. And so I did that, and that was I think still airing. It was like playing a lot over the summer during like
And you had a movie thing, right?
Greedy People. Yeah, it
Greedy
was,
People. Check it out.
yeah.
It'll be tagged in the show notes.
Potsy Ponceroli. I got a small role in there. It's very Coen Brothers-esque. Underrated. A lot of Jim Gaffigan's in it. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Lily James, and Himesh Patel star in that. And Potsy Ponceroli directed.
Oh, shout out. Joe Go.
Yeah.
He hates it when you
JJ.
call him that.
Dude, so he's got like, he had a hairpiece on in this. Like he has like a long like, he's like in like a shitty band. He's like a small town corrupt cop, right?
Okay.
And so like he's got like a big like handlebar mustache, sideburns, long hair. I legitimately didn't recognize him twice, and I felt so bad being like, "Hey, Travis," and introducing myself, and he's like, "Joe." Like, and I'm
Are
like,
you
I'm like, oh.
serious?
Like, yeah,
you
literally.
big time to the big time guy.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. He could tell I was like looking at him and trying to figure it out. But yeah,
And trying to place him?
Yeah, I was like, oh,
That happens a lot
literally, yeah.
with me because of the service industry.
Yeah.
So, like, because it's equidistance from the stand and the cellar, a lot of big comics come in, but they only see me in my uniform.
Yeah.
So, like, it's hard for them to place me when I'm not in my uniform.
Yeah, you show up outside of work and they're like, this is what happened.
Yeah. So now what I've been doing is if there's a big time comic, I'll go to, like, because I normally open and it's a pool house, so we'll pass off our tables. I'll go downstairs and change into my street clothes, and then I will go back up and be like, hey, I just wanted to say goodnight. So good to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks again. And then I'll leave. So it registers like, oh, this is what he looks like.
Dude, I'm a little baby boy when it comes to like comics. Like if there's a
Oh, I am too.
I am if there's a comic that comes into my job, I work at Laser Wolf, come on down or don't, I don't give a shit. Honestly.
Shout out. What is it? It's
Israeli.
Oh yeah, you have that bit about it. You have that. Yeah, you have that fantastic. I told my girlfriend that bit because she's Jewish. I was like, "This is the funniest."
Well, it's just
bit
stupid.
I've
That's
ever
not
heard.
even. That's just like real. But it's an Israeli restaurant. And politics aside, I'm just fucking around. It's just funny because it's like it's all like fucking woke Bushwick kids who work there. So it's like the divide between the politics of the whatever.
Yeah,
but
that is funny.
It's really good food. Michael Solomonov, Philly chef, brought it up here. I don't know why I'm plugging. I do not care. I do not care about my restaurant job. I don't.
We literally went from plugging your social media and the movies and shows you've been on to also I work at a restaurant.
Hey, you know this job I don't want? You guys should come and support it.
So what's your social media? Instagram, all that?
Young Rosacea. I have a pink face, and people say you should do something physical. So Young Rosacea.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to have you on because I've seen you at the mics now for a while, and then you were gone for a little while, shooting your stuff. And then you came back, and I was like, oh, shit, dude, like, we got to get you on the podcast. So you moved, just a little background for the audience. You are an actor by trade.
Yeah.
I want to get into that because obviously you do stand up as well. So I'm always fascinated when people, because I have that bit about it where I go, where I'm from, I'm the hot comic, then I moved to New York where every failed model and actor looks at the thing I've put my whole life into and goes, that doesn't look so hard. Like I have a bit about it, but there's a lot of people who do like Zach DiDonato, who's been on this podcast, was a model for a long time. You, Tim Martin, like actors by trade. Like, so it is interesting the Venn diagram of people who get into the arts and then also go, hey, I want to talk about my penis on stage too.
Yeah. Mediocre penis. Emphasis mediocre.
I'm just kidding. You guys don't all talk about that. I mean, most of us do, but so how did you're from Jersey originally. How did you get to New York? Was it for acting?
Yeah. So I could give medium story, long story, short story.
We got plenty of time. Do whatever you want.
All right. I always knew I wanted to be in performance.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So we're going to go long story.
Yeah, let's go long
How
story.
did you figure that out at a young age?
Weirdly enough, I loved playing charades.
And how old
at
were
like
you?
5,
when you
6 years
okay.
old. I was like, this is awesome. This is fun. This is like, I get to, and I.
As the
I
great
think-
Kevin Smith says, you're getting paid to play make believe.
Literally, yeah, it's literally pretend. And
Yeah.
like, honestly, I think what it was too is that like, I'm the youngest too, and I'm having this realization right now live. But I think there was also an element of like being included like on an intellectual level
Yeah.
with everyone else, where it's like I'd always watch my siblings play video games or something like that, and I never got the chance because it would be like, oh, I'll watch you play Zelda or
Yeah.
something, you know? But like this time it was like a collaborative thing, and I could also be a part of it. I do hate myself, really, honestly.
No, but it's interesting because like I understand that like all my validation is external, and that's
Me too.
You know, I love my dad to death, but he was in sales, and a lot of it was like perception is reality.
Yes.
So like and then I had a lot of energy and stuff as a kid, so I was getting put into plays, and people were like, "Wow, that was great," and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." Like other people like me.
It feels good to do something well,
Yeah.
and people recognize it.
Exactly. So for you, it started with like charades and stuff. And so you kind of realized, oh, I want to do performance. And I want to ask you, how does that dovetail in with like schooling? Are you going to special schools? Are you bringing this up to your parents? Or are you just like in the back of your head?
No, like, so like, transparently, like, lower middle class moved around a lot, and my parents were divorced.
Yeah, you said Jersey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, some beautiful towns. I ended up in one. It was weird dichotomy being lower middle class and an upper middle class town, but it's hard. It's hard being me.
Listen, everybody knows it, Travis. Oh, we love you.
Those whites, they have a hard time. All right. God, it
The
sucks.
worst time.
It's back, man. It's like it hasn't really gotten that exhausting yet. It will probably
Oh,
eventually. but
I'm already exhausted.
God,
dude.
it's crazy.
Especially as someone who like loves, like I studied history and political science. So like all these, the first like 10 days, I was like, wait, you can't do that. They can't do that. They can't do that. And it was
Insane.
just by like the 7th one, I was like, I'm fucking over it, man.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
done.
I mean, nothing's real. I don't know what to believe anymore. But anyway, I'll get back. So basically, no special schooling, just public schools and like whatever's accessible.
Are you doing school plays and stuff?
No, so like I didn't get into theater until like late middle school.
Okay.
So I played like sports. I loved baseball and shit like that. I wasn't good. I was obese and
So
like
you were always a big kid.
I was big. I was like big though. Like
Yeah.
my weight's like fluctuated a lot. Like I'm regular fat now. You're like I'm wondering like I say I lost a lot of weight and you're like what happened? But like I did. Like if you saw me as a kid, it was like large. No,
And in charge, baby.
not in charge.
Large Marge sent you.
No, man. I in middle school I was like I auditioned, but I never got in. And then I like went to a theater camp in between 7th and 8th grade, and it was the director at my middle school for like the school plays, and he was like, "I didn't know you were in theater," and I was like, "Oh, I auditioned, and you never accepted me."
Okay, and how did you end up going to the theater camp?
Because I was interested in it. I was like, I want to go.
But that's
do
you're
this.
young. That's something you have to bring up to your parents.
Yes. So I
Your
bring it
parents
up
are
to my-
divorced. Who you spending most of the time with?
So I lived with my mom. I saw my dad Wednesdays, weekends.
Yeah.
Great relationship with both of them, truly. I mean, we're from Jersey, so
Yeah.
so there will be negatives.
Set the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's solid. I love them both. Yeah. So I bring it up to both of them really because it's like, hey, we should split the cost of this, whatever. But it wasn't anything crazy. You know what I mean? A few $100, and it was like a couple weeks, and you put on a production of Bye Bye Birdie.
Okay.
But to be completely like, he was like, oh, I didn't know. And then so like 8th grade, he saw me audition.
He passed on me, asshole.
Literally. I was like, dude, I auditioned.
It's like when a casting director is like, what's your name again? It's like, we've met 9 times.
Yeah, literally. I just was in your office yesterday. And you're in your restaurant, and
it's you and Joseph. It's you and Joseph Gordon-Levitt all over again.
Literally. But yeah, man. I and like completely candidly, and this is gonna get on fucking social politics here, but like, I remember because we did one play and one musical, and I remember being like, I don't want to do the musical. That's fucking gay.
Super gay.
That's fucking gay, dude. I'm not gonna sing. And then,
can you sing?
I could sing pretty well. I could sing.
Because you were making that joke yesterday at the mic,
where I like,
and you knew a lot of the terms and stuff. And I
didn't
was like,
pick the starting pitch. I didn't really know what note I wanted to pick, so I was in between a couple, and I was like, man, that was not my best. And I knew Paul as a singer.
Yeah.
No, so I was like, okay. We ended up doing a musical at that camp, and I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm going to try this. So then I got into all theater. I was like, plays, musicals, whatever. And then I really started to like musical theater in high school, and I had to like make a decision. Like, I played hockey, and I had to like either choose between the two, because I did 1 year where
Were you good at hockey?
No.
Okay.
I would wreck kids, though.
Yeah.
You're
the goon.
I was a bowling ball, dude. So I didn't
Bash
have,
brother.
I didn't have any technique. I was like when Goldberg became a Bash brother.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
like
yes, I do. Goldberg?
not really a threat, but kind of a threat.
Goldberg.
Yeah, the goalie. You remember that?
Yeah.
D2, the fucking Swedish guy, the goalie. All right. Fuck. No, but
I literally just cut a clip last night about how I used Mighty Ducks 3 movie lines in real life.
yeah, D3, Mighty Ducks, baby. I love that fucking movie. It's a lot about class too.
Yeah,
There's a class struggle in that movie.
You're the real Minnesota Miracle, man.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, fuck. I don't even remember where I.
So you did the musical. You were playing hockey, and then you have to make a choice.
Yeah, they were conflicting too much. Like I'd miss practices, but then show up for the game, and I'd miss rehearsals, and I had like a very small ensemble.
And then show up for the play.
Yeah, literally. And, like basically. And so I quit.
Like Philip Seymour Hoffman in Along Came Polly.
Yeah.
When he's doing the community theater.
Yeah.
You're Judas. I think I should play both parts.
Dude, legend. R.I.P. 10 years.
Man.
11 years. All right. Well, anyway.
Heroin.
It'll get you. Hey, don't do heroin, guys.
I buried a couple of good friends to prove it.
R.I.P.
So you made the decision. What is that decision like? Dude, now, I'm assuming coming from Jersey, that's probably a tough talk to have with your dad.
No, I mean, like, well, he definitely was.
The
like,
hell you mean?
My dad definitely was like, "Are you fucking gay?" A few times in my life, for sure. But whatever. But no, I mean,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not, and not that I feel any type of internal struggle. No. No, man. It was fine. I mean, my parents were supportive of it. They were like, cool. And honestly, hockey was money. It was like, it wasn't like a.
Oh,
it was
yeah,
like,
that's true.
It was
yeah.
a club team. It was still JV varsity, but like it was still, you had to pay. So they were like, all right, fine.
That's fine. Wait, you're telling us the theater's through public school system? Yeah, that's fine. You can quit hockey.
Yeah. The thing that sucked though, it was a very good theater. It was an upper middle class town, and like it was a very good theater program. They had a lot of funding. There were a lot of kids that were like really good, and they had been taking lessons.
They want to be stars. Yeah.
Never took voice lessons or anything like that. So it's like I was definitely like out of my element. And like, not to brag, but our senior production of Sweeney Todd won like 9 Rising Star Awards, Paper Mill Rising Star Awards. So just a
Watch
shout out Paper Mill Rising Star.
How many of those you get?
None. I was in the ensemble. I was in the ensemble. I played the bird seller. It's a bit ensemble role. No, man. Yeah. So
That's like when I tell people I played Division I football. They're like, "Oh, what are your stats?" It's like, "Well, I was on scout team."
0, 0, 0.
All zeros
zero,
across. I'm still on ESPN.com, but it's zeros across the board.
That's so fucking awesome, dude. I'm still on ESPN.com. Yeah, man. I like still didn't get leads though, even after I quit. But I was like committed. I got like a few like leads in like the plays, but the musicals, I was always an ensemble, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I underestimated the process of like auditioning for schools for musical theater and acting. And so I like.
So you go through all of high school doing this.
Yeah.
And then when you decide you're going to go to college, are you like, I'm I'm going to pursue musical theater.
Yeah, so I was like, I want to. So I was like, at that point, I was like, this is fucking cool. I like started taking some dance lessons outside of school and being like, this is very. And yeah, and I like was like, I'm interested in this. I want to do this. This is fun. And I was like, either acting or musical theater. And at the time, musical theater was my ideal. But it's like, it's competitive.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
audition for colleges, like the pressure that these 17-year-olds are on to like try to get into like Carnegie Mellon or NYU, it's fucking insane. I actually, sorry, tangent. My girlfriend literally just showed me. They'll do like these unified auditions where they'll have like 15 schools will do like one combined audition in a major city so that like kids can bang out a bunch of them. There was a video from this hotel in Chicago from where like all the kids were staying for the unifieds just singing Rent in the lobby.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Like 1,000 high school theater kids singing 525,000.
And what, the colleges are just like walking up and down?
No,
like,
it's not. No, it's like for fun. It's like it's after the audition day, and they're just like, we love theater. They're singing Rent in the lobby of the hotel. My girlfriend was like, I would commit a mass murder if I was at this hotel.
Like, I love sports, but unless I'm at the Jags bar with other Jaguars fans, I'm not going to, even if I see someone on the street wearing Jags clothes in New York, I never do like the Duval. Like, I'm not, I have too much shame. I'm like, this is embarrassing.
You're more Liam Cohen, Duval.
Yeah.
Duval.
No, you never stress.
Duval.
It's 3 U's. I don't know why he stressed the ALL.
And his eyebrows switched. It started with doing the Dwayne The Rock Johnson on one side, and then it went to the other side.
Yeah, he went full Jim Carrey. Full Jim Carrey. But I understand that idea of like I've seen it. We've all seen it, especially in New York. But it's like I have too much shame to. Yeah. I won't even pull my phone out to do like a walk and talk video.
Yes, I feel. Oh God, dude, I feel so hack doing it, dude. Theater kids are the worst. I hate them. The absolute
as a
fucking worst.
Kid,
I never. All my friends, long story short, went to college for musical theater. All my friends weren't theater kids. They were like 10.
Where did you go?
Or Rider University.
Okay.
So basically, I underestimated the audition process. I went to a safety school that you didn't have to audition for because I didn't get into any of the schools that I auditioned for. I only ended up being able to, because they fill up. The auditions fill up.
Yeah. Where did you audition for?
My senior year, I auditioned for Montclair State University for, I think, both musical theater and acting. I auditioned for Pace University for both musical theater and acting. And I think NYU just acting because all the musical theater auditions had filled up.
Okay. And you didn't get any of them.
Just because I procrastinated. And I didn't.
Well, it's interesting because I've had a lot of people on the show from like Ivy League students to like kids who went to NYU for acting, and then other people who went to conservatories because they didn't realize they wanted to do acting or musical theater until later. So it is an interesting dichotomy of like figuring this out young. And I say the same thing with stand-up. Like, I've loved stand-up since I was a kid. Since I was like 12 years old, I recorded on VHS. But I never thought to do it. Even when I saw Dane Cook rip his shirt off and pour the water, and I was like, oh, I want to do that, I still never thought to do it because I was a football player. I played football. I went to college to play football. And then when all that ended, I was like, oh, let me try stand-up. So I was like 22. So I'm envious of people like you where at 6, you're like, I want to do something in this arena.
Yeah. And like
and then on the back end, your senior year in high school, be like, I'll fucking get to it.
Honestly, though, like that's great. I think some of the best actors too don't even find acting until they're like a young adult and like stuff like that. Because it's just like sometimes if you're too immersed in the shit, you're not real.
Yeah,
you become a theater kid.
Yeah,
who sings Rent in the hotel lobby.
Yep.
You know, like
well, and there is something to say whether with any art, but like whether it's stand up, acting, music, there's something to say where having significant life experiences shape your outlook. Absolutely. Can really play a huge role in how you're defined in whatever field you're in.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like you have a wealth of experience that so many other people do not have.
Yeah.
But that is extremely relatable to people like you who consumed the content when you were younger, but weren't actually interested in it. Like there's a bunch of people who are like, they see you and they're like, I see myself in that guy, but there's not a ton of performers that played fucking D1 football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
been arrested 8 times, recovering out. Yeah,
degenerate. Yeah.
Degenerate. Total degenerate.
Embarrassment to the family.
Yep.
I'm projecting.
No, that's been bandied about. So for you, because to the contrast of that, you were in this the whole time. So when you got to college, you were like, I don't want to be like, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to associate with other kids.
I think feeling like an underdog in my town because it was so like these kids had resources that I just did not have. They could take these classes and lessons. They like knew shit. Like I didn't know any. I was just like doing it as if it was like an intramural like extracurricular thing. Whereas these kids like knew in middle school
they're doing lessons and like throwing out
like kids going into like New York to do like an open call for Bye Bye Birdie on Broadway. Like when they did the Broadway revival and they're like 16. And they go in to like because they at the time they were like, we want to actually get a teenager to play a teenager, which is like Broadway can't make up its mind if they want like a 40-year-old or like a 12-year-old playing a teenager. It's kind of ridiculous.
Well, that's with theater in general. Like our buddy Teddy Fisher, a friend of the show, he was doing a play and he was like, yeah, I'm playing like a 90-year-old man. And I was like,
yeah.
He goes, yeah, I auditioned for the role of like the younger guy, and I ended up getting the old guy. And I'm like, you're 23, dude.
Exactly, and like it's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know, but they, I mean, like it was like I always kind of felt like an underdog. I didn't get like leads in the musicals or anything, and I ended up not getting into any school that I auditioned for. So I went to a safety school, Drew University in Madison, New Jersey, very small school. Fucking partied a lot. Got like I was like I'm gonna play ultimate frisbee because I played intramural ultimate frisbee in high school just to like play a sport when I had to quit hockey, and then like the rugby team kind of poached me.
Okay.
And
were you still a big kid at this point?
No, I had lost a lot of weight in the middle of high school. Like from sophomore year through junior year, I lost like 60 pounds. And I became like skinny fat. You know. Yeah.
I see a lot of those people.
I actually was I completely side note, but I had like titties. I have like a whole thing about having titties growing up because I like developed large breasts. When you're so fat at a young age and start going through puberty, you actually like you've seen the fucking floppers, and I had the floppers, and when I lost the weight, they didn't go away, so I actually had them removed surgically. I had two surgeries. Yeah,
that's got to be something. You want to talk about self-esteem issues? That would crush me,
dude. It was. I remember before getting the surgery, I used to, and like especially in something like acting, you know what I mean, or performing, like it's all about how you look, too. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was fucking crushing. It's like I went from being the fat kid, I put a shit ton of weight into like a shit ton of energy into losing weight, and then I was like, oh, I'm still a fucking mutant.
Yeah, like no, and that's true. I mean, that is 100%. It's so interesting how much better just. Like I'm 36 and still how much better my sets will go if I feel good and I'm like looking good in what I'm wearing on stage, how much more confidence I have. And I'm sure it translates to acting.
When you have I don't give a shit about this. Fuck it. You know what? Fuck it.
I'm still hot. I don't care.
You're like, when you're like, yeah, fuck it. I'm over it. Fuck it. Like then you fucking murder. You know what I mean? I feel like that's when you do your best. But yeah, man. So I had lost a lot of weight. I had a surgery to remove the fat, and then I had a surgery to remove the skin. So I had these like 2 big scars on my chest, whatever. I have a whole fucking chunk on it.
So what happens? You go to, because I'm gonna go back to get into the stories. So you go to college, you're doing theater, you're doing the acting thing, you're in it. How long is it when you graduate? Are you like, I'm going straight to New York?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so then how did you get into stand-up?
So I was always interested in stand-up. I loved like Brian Regan and Kevin James as a kid. Sweat the Small Stuff is such a fucking underrated special. Yes. Oh, yes. Icky Toes!
Get me out of here! What is it? Icky Toes! Shout out Kevin James.
Dude, Kevin James, man.
And he played the villain in that movie not too long ago with that buzzed hair and that full beard.
Oh, I bet he looked.
Oh, dude. And he's jacked.
Kevin James is a unit.
He's a sneaky jack guy.
And here comes the boom, dude.
I was just about to bring it up.
Here comes the boom. He's like fucking jacked. He looks like Bert Kreischer now.
Yeah.
You know how Bert's like kind of big, but he's still fat for sure.
Yeah. TRT Bert.
Shout out Bert. Okay, yeah, I can't. I've never tried it. Shit. Yeah, dude. I went to safety school, partied way too much, joined the rugby team, partied, fucking went nuts. We can tangent into a drinking story there if you want, or I could just finish
We'll finish this and then we're going to go back. Because there's a lot of stuff I want to touch on.
I transferred to a school. I'm like, I got to pursue my fucking dream. Like, what am I doing? Transferred to Rider University for musical theater. Kind of underdog there. Like literally, like the head of the program was like, "Hey, maybe switch majors. Like maybe do."
Oh
like,
wow, the head of the program was like, "You're not cut out for this."
He was like, maybe you could be like because they had like so it's a BFA musical theater program, which is Bachelor of Fine Arts, but they also had a BA theater program with like a quasi focus on acting. He was like, "Oh, you could maybe do that," and like maybe
What is that for, like grips and text and stuff?
Well, it was just like for people that didn't want to do musical theater,
Okay.
but like if they wanted to, you could also
So you can get a bachelor in fine. Wait, so you said it's a bachelor.
fine arts for musical theater or just a bachelor's for
Okay.
theater, general
Got
theater.
it.
And there was like a focus that you could do in acting, but it was like not as much.
So what did you do?
So I was like, I really want to stay in this.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right,
You want to
cool,
get that FA on the end of it. You want to get
Right.
that fine
I
arts,
was
baby.
like, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it. And I
Yeah.
was like, he was like, let's reevaluate. We reevaluated, and then he just like cast me as like the fatter old guy in his shows, every show he did.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, sick. So then I like gained a lot of confidence because I had like,
Because you kept getting spots.
yes, I kept getting spots, and I trimmed up too. I went from like high school, like not getting anything in the musicals, and then I like got like cut up, and then I started getting all these roles. And what sucked is like I still was playing the fat roles.
Yeah.
And I was in like the best shape of my life. I was like, I had like abs.
Now, were you like a role's a role? Or were you kind of like,
It was
fuck
fucking
this?
me up a little
Yeah.
mentally. I had a professor who was like, hey, the roles you play don't define who you are.
Yeah. I have to have people tell me that all the time because sometimes I get booked on shows and I'm like, I don't want to do this. Show sucks.
Right, yeah.
But and then I'll talk to friends who are, in a better position than me with stand up, and they're like, stage time is stage time in New York, dude. Like, it
Exactly.
doesn't matter.
Just do it. Just
I'm
get the
like,
reps in.
You're right.
Just get the reps in, and you never know. I find like when you are like, man, I really don't want to do this, but maybe I should. Something always comes out of it good.
Yeah, and
Something good
also
always comes out of it.
I go into it with that mentality of what we're talking about, where it's like, I don't care, and then it's always a better set because you're like, who gives
You're
a
like,
shit?
yeah, the stakes are low, and
Yeah.
then once the stakes are low, it's like everyone's more intrigued. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're like, ooh, this guy doesn't give a fuck. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
So when did you first start stand up?
I tried it first when I was 19. I did an open mic in at the Stress Factory in New Brunswick, and I did whatever, fine. And then I was like, it just wasn't as accessible. Like it wasn't really going on at my school or anything. So I would like kind of bounce in and out when I was going to school, do like an open mic every year maybe,
Yeah.
and then like we even like put on a stand-up show that I hosted at my school. Like, but it was like not good,
Yeah.
by any stretch of the imagination. And then after college, I was like, well, I'm moving to New York because of acting and shit like that. And, after about a year, I started getting acting work, but I would every now and then try an open mic and suck and then be like, well, I'm an actor anyway. I'm not going to,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm just going to, whatever. Fuck this. I don't need to feel that way. And like, so I just kept dipping my toes in and out while I was like still getting this acting work. And, after I got a few roles under my belt, I was like, and look, external validation. I was like, you know what? Bill Burr, like he always says, like he loves to bomb now. And he's like getting over that hurdle of like feeling like shit from bombing is like once you get past that, you're good. Then you're cruising. So I was like, I'm gonna fucking give this a go. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna try and like candidly having this acting work under my belt gave me the confidence to have that external validation, whereas I should be seeking it internally. But like, yeah, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a go. And like, I just kind of stuck with it. And that happened to be like right before COVID.
Yeah,
And
of course.
so I took a fucking Laughing Buddha class with Kevin Dombrowski. Cool guy. It was great. Like whatever, classes, whatever. But like, it was a good accountability thing. And then I was like, ooh, I could actually really fucking love this. And then COVID hit and took like a year off or so
Yeah.
for whatever.
But I find that fascinating with because comedy's always been my thing. Like I never did improv. I did stage acting when I was younger, like I said, but it's always been, once I found stand up, I was like, oh, this is the thing.
Yeah.
So it is interesting when I have different people on, because I've had people on this podcast where I've kind of misread them. And like I get them on and then they're like, yeah, well, I just really liked attention and stand up was the easiest way for me to get it. And I was like, man, I thought you were like a comic, like to the core.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. But I've also had people on like me where they're like, no, I've been obsessed with this and I love this. So I've now grown, because I'm very pretentious and protective when it comes to stand up, but I have now grown in doing this show, not only, for the last 5 years, but also being around. I had a friend of mine, like the third episode of the show, Stephen Baker, shout out Stephen Baker, very funny comic in Jacksonville. And he was on the show, and he's the one who told me. He goes, Brennan, stand-up for some people is like karaoke. Like some people go to get drunk with their friends and like do a funny thing at an open mic, and some people take it very seriously. Like, this is my practice for when I get the call.
Yeah.
Just like karaoke. Like, I have an ex-stepdad who was like that, where he was in a band and he would go to karaoke because it was his practice.
Right.
And then he'd go, other people would be there just getting drunk. And that's when it finally clicked, where I was like, oh, anyone can do it. Like, I'm not the arbiter of stand. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So I find it interesting for you where you were like, you were kind of in and out, in and out, in and out. And then you were like, I like this. I'm going to try this. And really at the end of the day, that's all it comes down to is like, are you going to just keep trying it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I always like leaned towards comedy and like, and I gotta say, like, that mentality too, there's definitely like an elitism in stand-up comedy, because you got the people who have been grinding for decades or so, and they're just like, if you're not going up 5 times a night, you're not even in it. Fuck the hobby comics, fuck this, that, blah, blah, blah. And like, I definitely didn't want to be, and again, I shouldn't be looking at external validation and how other comics view me, but I was like, I don't want to be the actor who's
you don't want to be a poser,
and being a hobby comic or just trying to fucking parlay this into something. Like, I legitimately, like, I've always been into stand-up, I've always been excited by it, and I've always wanted to try it. I've always just been intimidated. You know what I mean?
No, and it's an intimidating thing. Like, I talk about it now, but that's because I started going to open mics in 2009.
Yeah.
And like I say, my start date now is 2018 because same as you, I was coming in and then I'd take like 3 months or 6 months off and then I'd try another mic. But I did 2 open mics and I told everybody like I am a comedian now. Like it's in a police report when I got my first DUI that I was a comic.
That's awesome.
That's
fucking awesome.
I have because they asked what's your occupation? I said a comedian. I'm a comedian. And then in the police report it actually says suspect said occupation was comedian, comma he was actually pretty funny. That's in. And I have a whole bit about it, but that's in public record in Palm Beach County. Shout out.
That's awesome. You're like, I have 10 minutes of stage time under my belt. I'm a fucking comic, baby.
Exactly. Changed all my handles to Brennan T. Comedy. But to kind of sum everything up, I find it fascinating because I'm not like that anymore. Like I see hobby comics and like I'm like, cool, man. Like, do you? Like I don't care. I got too much going on for me to care. Yeah. But I do find it fascinating when people, to your point, to your story, where you kind of like, I want to kind of try this, and then you kind of like almost got addicted to it, where you're like, I actually really enjoy this.
Yeah, man. I mean, it definitely. I had like a hiatus. Like when I got Law and Order so I started producing shows, and like I kind of bit off more than I could chew. I got burned out, and I had to cancel 2 shows. We like the venue I was working at, they were like, hey, instead of 1 longer show, why don't we do 2 shorter shows and really try to like double up? And I was like, great idea. Over the summer, that's a brilliant idea. And I had to cancel the late show, and I already felt like shit like a week before. And then the day of, I had to cancel the other show because we had like 17 tickets sold, and like we were way over our head in budget. Like we'd lose a pretty significant amount of money, and that kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit. And I work in a restaurant like you. I work nights, so it's already I'm competing with my work schedule to do comedy, and like also have a life. I live with my girlfriend, and like we have a dog. Like I want to be able to. She works a 9 to 5 from home, so it's like I want to be able to live. And I remember I got Law and Order, and I was shooting that for like a week and a half, so I was like pretty busy, and I kind of just fell into this like hiatus where like I legitimately questioned. I was like, man, do I have the constitution for this? Like, because this is a grind. Like, I don't believe that you have to be the guy who lives at the clubs every single night. I think sometimes it's like becoming a theater person. Like you become a robot. You lose anything that makes you special.
I 100% agree with that because like I am obsessed with it, but I'm not.
Right.
Like I do something comedy related every day, but it's not like mics or clubs. Sometimes it's cutting clips. Sometimes it's recording the podcast. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like sometimes there is a balance, and I also work at night. So there is a balance of like, I can't be at like, and also open mics can be detrimental.
Yes.
Because if you keep doing your good stuff, because you're like, oh, I got a show coming up, I want to get this super tight. Everyone in the room's heard it 5 times, and no one's going to laugh anymore. And then you start questioning, is this good? Even funny?
Yeah. And you burn out on it too. I get bored. I get bored with material pretty quick. Like I'm like, God, I feel like such a hack doing this 5-minute set again. But yeah, man, like in the same token, you do have to commit a lot of time. And like you can't just be doing, a couple mics once a week. Like that's something.
Yeah.
And it's still progress, and it's like that's better than nothing. But like, so I've definitely had my moments since like being like, all right, I want to give this a go, where I've been like, do I have the constitution for this? Can I manage this? But I'm
Well, there was that
figuring it
great
out.
Nike commercial during the Olympics, and I quote this all the time, but it was one of my favorite things because my girlfriend and I, Tracy, who I love very much, we talk about this
Shout
all
out
the
Tracy.
time.
Shout out Emily, love you, baby.
because she's a power lifter like I am. So like we go to the gym a lot, but like sometimes she'll be like, oh, my ankle hurts, so I'm like not going to do this. Or like, oh, my shoulder hurts, so I'm not. And in my head, I'm like, what is pain? Like pain is in your mind, to quote Starship Troopers.
Dude.
So it is one of those things where I saw that Nike commercial during the last Olympics where it's like winning isn't for everybody. And I was like, oh, that's it. Like replace winning with whatever. But it's like, to your point, it's like, there's a lot of rejection that comes with this. Like I talk about it on stage. I did a one-man show. I'm still paying those credit cards.
Yeah.
And like nobody saw it.
Yeah.
Like some of my close friends saw it, and some of like real big comedians that I love dearly that are friends of mine came to the show and helped me promote it when I came out on YouTube. But it's at like 600 views, which is nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
So it's like, but in my head, it's like, okay, on to the next thing. Like, and I don't know if that's an athlete thing. I don't know if that's a sports thing, but it's very much like, yeah, we're just going to keep bashing our heads against the wall until something sticks.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got to take the lumps, and it's like sometimes you need to kind of like lick your wounds and retreat for a little bit. And
Well, I'm
like,
sure you're used to that from acting.
yeah, I'm still salty about some of the roles that I haven't gotten. You know what I mean? Where it's like I get the avail check, and it's like they really liked your tape, and they're sending you to producers just make sure you're still available. And it's like when you get that, you're like, okay, man, I could be one of 3 to 6, maybe.
It's normally 3 though, right?
I don't know.
Normally-
I mean, I really have no idea. I'm just guessing.
I always, because just from people I've heard talk about it on podcasts and stuff, normally when you get the callback, it's like down to you and 2 other people.
Yeah. They
At least
try
that's
to
what I've
whittle
heard,
it down
yeah.
enough so that the producers and creatives and whatnot can just be like, cool, them. You
Yeah.
know, and they're probably like literally, it's what sucks so much about it is they probably are like, all right, cool. These are our 3 picks. Really like this guy. Who do you like? And they look at the headshots and they're like, that guy's fucking perfect for this.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even watch the tape.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know anything. Maybe I'm fucking being a dickhead.
No,
to
you're
these
100% right.
Producers, directors.
I want to
but-
ask you, speaking on and then we'll get into some of the stories, but speaking on this, because as someone who is an actor and been in a bunch of stuff, now that it's all self-tape, because you've been in this a long time, like
Yeah.
you're talking about from when you were a kid going to that theater camp in middle school. Are you, because this is something I'm fascinated with, because I'm good in the room. Like I said, my dad was in sales, my older sister's in marketing. Like I was raised around, like if you're in a room full of people, you don't fucking look at your phone, you look people in the eye, you give them a firm handshake, it's very Wedding Crashers. You draw attention to yourself, but not in a negative way.
Yes. Yeah.
Now that it's all self-taped, do you find that detrimental, or do you think that's better for the craft itself? Because you're not like making jokes and hitting it off. It's like just going off of the tape.
I think it's.
There's also a lot less pressure on a self-tape.
I think it's subjective. I think it is subjective. At first I was like, man, I fucking hate self tapes, and then I like kind of got hooked on like the creativity behind it, like being like, okay, you know what? Like sometimes they'll give you specific, like we want this framing and whatnot, but like sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I'm doing this. I could really make this cool and like change the angle, the camera angle, or my positioning. Like, do I want to be dead center? Do I want to be off center a little bit? Do I want to be, which side do I want to be on?
Yeah.
And like, how do I want to handle the lighting? Sometimes I'll do like one light in front. Sometimes I'll do both lights in front to like really be well lit, and it'll kind of youthen me up a little bit. But if I'm like playing like a villain or something, or like someone who has like a darkness to them, I'll just do one in front and really do a dim one behind me, so I get that little bit of shadow on some of my face. And it's like you get the backlight, but with the separation, but it creates a little bit of that like shadow on like half the face. There's some fun that you can have with it, so I really like that aspect. But you do miss the here's a note. And can you make this adjustment, so that like you miss the human aspect of like selling yourself?
Yeah, and also, the walking in the room, like, hey, how you doing, Bob? Great to see you again.
Yeah.
How's the wife? How's the kids? All
Yeah.
right, here we go. Oh, what we doing? Okay, here we go. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get any of that.
Some people are not great at that. Some people are good at that. I feel like I've gotten better at that. And so now it's like, okay, if I can do it in person, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
The other thing is like, if it's easy to do 30 fucking takes.
It's
easy to get sucked into.
I didn't like that.
Oh, everything was so good except for that one bit, and then you
Yeah.
try to recreate it, and you almost nail it, but you miss one other thing, and then you're like,
Now you're spinning plates.
It's like the voicemail in Swingers. You know, like where he's just like he's just trying to redo it.
Oh yeah.
And perfect it. Yeah.
So I want to ask you a couple of things that I was registering while you were giving us the origin story. So growing up and then getting into theater, and like you said, you were a really big kid. You were a fat kid. Were you? That's what you said.
Really big. You're a fat kid.
Your words. Clip it. Were you popular in high school? Were you like hanging out with the popular kids? Because it was an upper middle class area. So
I was.
Were you the bad boy?
Well, in middle school, I definitely started acting out, stealing shit, fucking opening people's lockers, and fucking grabbing iPods and shit like that. Like, yeah, like I was doing some dumb shit. Never really like keeping it, but like with the kids who would do it, you know?
Yeah.
I acted out a lot. I was quasi-cool, I'd say. I straddled like my hockey friends.
That is now the name of the episode.
Quasi-cool. Yeah, like I was, you know, maybe I thought I was cooler than I was, but the subtitle. No, I like
No,
had...
I normally take notes during, but I was kind of so into the story that I forgot to write down. You played hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
like
no,
I gotta
no.
make sure to.
I know, I appreciate that. That would be funny though if you were like,
So that
all
way I
right,
don't
man,
have to
this
go
is
back and re-listen to the whole thing.
No, man, I like straddled a bunch of groups, but was never like really the center of a single group.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
And then I like was vice president of my SGA my senior year. I like had a killer fucking speech, man.
Yeah?
My initials are TP, so I had I made flyers with a roll of toilet paper on it, and I paid for fucking color printing so that I could put in brown lettering. I will wipe this school clean of its problems, and it was TP for VP was the slogan.
Hey, I like it. Maybe we should talk about it.
Papered the walls, dude. But like I was just always, I always wanted to be loud. I always wanted to be seen.
Yeah.
I felt so unseen as a fat kid, which was impossible. But that's
the
not.
bit.
I shouldn't try.
That's
I know.
the bit.
I'm trying to joke.
No, it's true. I mean, I didn't hit my growth spurt till I was going into my senior year of high school. So I understand. Like, I was fat, a little roly-poly. Like, I was like 5'8", 2. I remember I couldn't play Pop Warner football because I weighed over 150 pounds.
Oh, you were like above.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
And that, yeah. So I remember I went through a lot of the same things that you're talking about, like this, like trying to be seen, and then it translated to me acting out in different ways. Like, I didn't start drinking until I was like almost the end of my senior year of high school. But I remember being like the loud kid in class and the class clown. And like I was in IB, so I was taking these hard classes, but I was always making jokes and like trying to like get all these people who were obsessed with like school to like laugh in the middle of class. So I completely understand that dynamic of like, well, obviously my looks aren't doing it, so how else can I get attention, kind of a thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I like, and like when I lost weight too, like I gained a little too much confidence. I started wearing, dude, I was wearing fedoras.
Oh, get the fuck out of
My
here.
senior year, I started wearing fedoras at 17 years old.
Ugh.
I was like, this is sick.
When
this is cool.
When did you start drinking? When was the first time like you were like, all right, let's go get fucked up?
My sophomore year, 15.
Okay. In high,
I was
okay.
15, yeah. You know, I was the youngest, so I saw like my sister acted out. She was a little wilder.
Yeah.
She was the oldest, and she was a little wilder. And then my brother was a little more tame. He was the middle. And then I was like, I'm gonna fucking be a little wilder, I think. And yeah, I just had. I mean, middle school, I was fucking
A path to Virgin the Wood.
stealing shit from people.
What is it? Two paths to Virgin the Wood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, Robert Frost action.
I remember we went on a cruise that summer.
So this is your family.
Yeah, this is my mom, my brother, and me. That's what white trash families do for
Cruises?
vacation. You do a cruise. Sorry, Mom, we're white trash in a loving way. She hates that. But she bought like a bunch of rum in Puerto Rico. She was like, it's Puerto Rico. We should get some rum, bring it back. And I was like, it's Bacardi.
They have that in the States, Mom.
Like, this is down the block. But I remember later that year, I was like,
No,
you
it's
know
better.
what?
It's fresh. It's fresh.
Literally, it's from the distillery. Yeah, dude. It was like a few months later, I was like, I had a fight with like one of my closest friends or something like that. I was kind of like on the outs of one of my groups. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to get drunk.
Just by yourself?
No. I like made
my
up.
God.
I made
I
a
was
plan.
Like, that
would
is
have
a
been
bad sign.
That would have been bad. I made a plan with like another friend of mine and another, like it was like 3 of us. And I was like, let's just I'm taking my mom's fucking rum at her Grand
How much
Melon.
did she have?
It was like fucking normal size bottles.
Oh, but I'm saying, did she buy like
bought,
a
like,
case? Like
no.
like 12 bottles?
She bought
or?
like 3 bottles, different flavors.
Okay. So you got
Flavored rum.
Grand Melon.
Yeah, I got the watermelon rum.
There
And
you
I
go.
remember I would like take a few swigs, like just to like experiment before then, but I never got like drunk. And then I was like, we're getting drunk. I'm a teenager. I'm a high schooler. I'm going to get drunk. And I got fucking blasted.
What happened?
My one
Where
buddy
are
came
you?
over, my living room. My one buddy comes over. We start drinking. I think my mom like went out for the night. It was like a Friday or something, whatever.
Yeah, she was.
And yeah, fucking. All right. No, but weird. We were just like shooting it and just like when you start drinking, you don't have that alcohol really taste disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like almost like you can just like drink it and have no visceral reaction to it. So I was just drinking this shit straight and like.
And you also don't have a governor because you don't know what's what.
Right. Yeah. I have no idea like what my boundaries are. And I like was in the process of losing weight at the time too. And I was like not doing it healthy. I was just like not really eating as much. I was just like, well, let me just eat less because I didn't know anything.
That's what when my belt doesn't fit at the gym, like when it's a little too tight,
Yeah.
I'm like, looks like I'm not eating for the next 2 days.
Yeah. And then you go back and you're like,
Yeah.
and you really pull it and you're like, you take it off and you have like the red lines around
Yeah.
your
Oh,
love
yeah.
handles. Trust me, I've been there. No.
But then I won't eat for 2 days, and people are like, "Oh, you're looking good, man." And I'm like, "Cool." And then I'll go to the store and I'll be like, "Well, I unhealthily lost 7 pounds, so now I can buy a gallon of ice cream and eat it in the night."
Fuck it up, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
It's so bad.
Yeah, trust me, I have a terrible relationship with food, but yeah, man,
So you're just not eating, just downing Bacardi.
I didn't have nearly enough food on the day. I'm just slamming watermelon rum. My other friend is like kind of trying to keep up, but he's like being smart.
Yeah.
And then our other friend shows up, and I remember I realized I was drunk because I stood up and I was like, whoa. I went outside to meet him outside because he was locking up his bike. And I remember from my point of view, just seeing the world start to go this way. And it was just me falling over. I was falling over drunk. Like I was fucked up. And we were like, we're going downtown because we had like a cool, like, we had like a downtown, like a nice downtown area for kids to, adults to shop, but like kids
to loiter.
It was the cool thing to loiter downtown.
Yeah.
Hammered. So yeah, I did. And then I threw up on my buddy's lap at a Stop and Shop.
There you go.
Yeah, all rice, just rice, dude, just rum and rice all over the lap. And then they brought me back and laid me on my side on our couch, brand new couch. Laid me on my side that we got at Bob's Discount Furniture. Shout out Bob's. Route 22. Laid me on my side and they were like, we're going to get the fuck out of here because we don't want to get in trouble. Laid me on my side and my mom, I remember waking up to my mom being like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And I was like in vomit, like in my vomit of rice and shit all over the new couch, all over the floor. She's like, are you fucking drunk? And I was like, I remember trying for like half a sentence. I was like, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm fucking drunk. I was just like, I'm fucking drunk.
What happens? What happens at 15 with that in your house?
Nah, I mean,
grounded.
grounded, bullshit. But it was also tough because my mom's, divorced parents and I live with my mom and she's wants to have a life too. So it's like she can't really like.
It's like a dog on steroids. It's like having a little puppy.
Yeah, she can't fucking tell me what to do. So I'm like, it's like, maybe a weekend or two, but like, it's whatever.
I wanted to ask, because you had sent me a story about getting arrested. When did that happen?
Yeah, man, that happened when my first freshman year of college
at
Drew University. I was partying a shit ton and like really smoking.
So
a lot.
I want to, because just to parlay into this, when you start drinking at 15. Are you like, I'm just like a guy who drinks now?
No, I actually was like the opposite. I was like, I'm not gonna drink. I don't
Okay.
drink, and I was like, I don't drink for like a year and a half, and I just like I started smoking weed every now and then, but like I was like, I'm not gonna drink, and I
Yeah.
thought it was like kind of cool.
Yeah. And then you get to college and you're like,
I drank a
we're
little
going
bit
the
in
older
like high
sister
school.
pack.
Yeah, I like started drinking again like senior year of high school, like loosely, nothing crazy like that, and then like over the summer a little bit here and there, but nothing crazy. And then college, balls to the wall.
so when you get to college, because I love this because this was my experience, so I love asking people about theirs. I obviously, like I said, I was bullied a lot, didn't party a lot. And then when I got to college, I was like, I'm going to change my identity. Like, I'm going to change my life.
Yeah.
And I did it. Like, I didn't get bullied anymore. I stood up for myself. And I was also like, I'm going to party because I never really did it in high school. I was always envious of those kids. So when I got to college, I was like, I'm here for football, but also on the days that I can, I'm going to let it rip. And so for you, so like starting that first day that I moved in with my roommate, Sean Michael Murphy, the Pirate, shout out. Were you in a similar boat where like your first day there, you were like, had a conscious decision of like, I'm here like to party? Like Will Ferrell and Step Brothers were here to fuck shit up? Or were you like, all right, well, let's see how this goes?
I definitely was like, I definitely watched Blue Mountain State.
Fuck yeah.
Like the summer before college or something like that. And I was like, I'm going to fucking party.
Yeah.
I definitely was like, I'm going to fucking party. And like, I was just like, I'm going to
I
live it
didn't
up.
realize how big that show was. I remember watching it in college after playing football.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I love this show because it was hilarious, like the take on like college athletics.
Yeah.
But you're this like 7th or 8th person I've had on this show who's much younger than me who was like, yeah, I was watching that like in high school, like so excited for college.
Like prime
And
time
I was like,
for me
wait,
to
people watch this show?
Bro, yeah, I remember it was like it came out
Alex
for
Moran,
my
baby.
generation, and I was just like, I'm gonna fucking.
It was your guys' Varsity Blues, basically.
Basically, yeah, but a whole series.
Yeah.
you know, but a whole series of it. Yeah, man, I was like, I'm gonna have fun, man, because also like my sister went to school, dropped out, so she like, went for like a semester. My brother went to school, but he commuted, so like I was the first one going to school and like living there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna fucking have fun. And like I said, like the rugby team kind of poached me. I was still wearing a fedora here and there at the start of college, and I stopped pretty quickly. Rugby team poached me. And
Was that immediately?
basically-
Because you had mentioned that earlier in your story. Was that like right when you got? Because you had said you went there like you were going to do the theater and the acting, and then the rugby team got a hold of you. Was that like right away?
I was
They
still-
see you out there throwing the frisbee or something, and they were like, "Hey."
It was basically yeah, like I was still definitely doing like I was doing theater and stuff, and like but it was I had time to do like extracurricular shit, and I was like I remember like leaving an ultimate frisbee practice or something, or like an orientation they did, like a, hey, if you're interested, come do this thing. And I remember leaving, and like I think a couple like rugby kids were like, bro, fuck that, it's fucking gay, you should do ultimate frisbee. And I was like, they probably didn't say gay at that time, it was probably probably
you should do rugby instead of ultimate
they
frisbee.
should do rugby.
Well, I got poached too when I was playing. I went to college and I was playing football, and one of my very good friends, who we went to the same high school, he was a senior when I was a freshman, was like the captain of the rugby team at this point.
Bro, it's
and
fun.
he was like, it's a great way to stay in shape in the off season.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was like, you can be like a bench warmer and a scout team player on this like D1 football program, or you could be the star of the club rugby team. Like that's how he sold it to me. And I was like, I do want to be a star.
Right, yeah. Like it's sometimes fun to be the big fish.
Yeah, so I was like, let me try it. And then when my running backs coach found out I was doing rugby on the side to stay in shape, he lost his fucking mind.
Yeah, he was like, are you fucking nuts? They don't wear pads.
Yeah, he's like, what? He's like, I know you're not on a full scholarship, but do you even care about football? And I was like, my bad.
Yeah, it was nuts, dude. And I injured myself a few times. I fucking fucked up.
So were you partying with the rugby guys, like doing the boot and all that
Absolutely.
kind of stuff?
Yeah, it was like.
Is that what led to the arrest?
Basically, I mean, essentially, yeah, it was. There were no frats at the school, tiny school, so there were no frats, and like the rugby team was essentially a frat, and and the acapella clubs.
No, but that's a good point, because I do tell people that all the time when they're like, "Were you in a frat?" I go, "No, I played college football. Like I would that
That's
was
essentially you're the frat. You're in a frat. Yeah, it's like you don't need to be in a frat. You show up because you're on the football team.
Yeah.
And the frat lets you in.
Yeah. I was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I did it for 2 years. I was in school for 5. I did it for 2 years, but still, I hang my hat on that. I'm like, nah.
Yeah. Bro, I mean, it was fun. I mean, it was, but they like treated it like a frat. There was like definitely hazing, and they called it like appreciations, and
You did send me that.
Yeah, rugby appreciations, and it was essentially hazing. They had like gotten in trouble for like hazing like a few years before, so they like rebranded. They rebranded.
Yeah,
they had a good PR guy.
We're gonna do a relaunch on this.
And they were like, "Don't fucking talk to anyone about this, though. You're not allowed to talk to anyone about this." And it was fucking. I'll be honest, like it was hellish, but it was also like a lot of fucking fun.
What was your rugby appreciation?
So basically, it was a week-long thing, and you got your nickname. You shot a pong ball into a bunch of options for nicknames, and like they'd have like different names on them. And whatever you got, you chug and you read your name. And some of them were like filled to the brim and said shoot again, so you'd have to like chug a whole beer and then shoot again and continue your name. I got Jeebers, which was like a nickname they had for grab bong rips. Mm-hmm. And
Little GB, baby. Little Jeebers.
Dude, there was this one dude who was like grab bongs all night, every night. Ugh. And I had to like, whenever he called me, no matter what I was doing, I had to leave and go rip the grab bong. He was respectful about my class schedule, but I was so fucking high all the time because of that. I was like
Was that a part of the, like, because that was your nickname?
Yeah. Yeah, essentially.
So I'm interested in this. What were some of the other nicknames and like what was entailed? This was like choosing a character before a role-playing game.
Shit, I don't know. I honestly,
There's the mage, the warrior, the elf.
Oh, they called one kid Meatloaf, but it was like actually kind of like bequeathed to him because he was like a fat kid. And like kind of like.
But there wasn't like
saying.
shooter, and every time someone called, you had to go do a shot or something like that.
Mine was like the only one that like had.
Oh man, I thought they put a lot of thought into it.
I know mine was like the only one that had like this thing
stipulation to it.
But they also like gave everyone assignments. Like everyone had for that week, everyone had an assignment. They gave me the assignment that I had to do like 1,000 burpees every day. And I had to like report and do it in front of one of them. But they like, I would do 20 and they'd be like, I didn't see those. You know, it was just to fuck with you.
Yeah.
And they had us do a scavenger list of like things that we had to fucking find from different like buildings on campus and steal. I remember they were like, steal something you shouldn't was like one of them. It was just very like random. And we stole a fucking like painting.
That's definitely something you shouldn't.
In one of the university like halls. And they were like, awesome, sick. We got to bring this back though.
Yeah.
Like we can't. We're gonna get in trouble if you. I remember like one of them was like bring us a dolphin, and like there was a kid on campus. Like they didn't like think this out, but there was a freshman named Max Dolphin, and he was on crutches at the time. And I just remember us like carrying this kid into
Did you
the
tell him
rugby
what was going
suite.
on?
Yeah, we were like,
yeah.
hey man, we got to bring them a dolphin. Can you do this? And he was like, fuck yeah, whatever.
Okay.
But then it all culminated in one night where it was off campus, and it was at this kid's house, and it was like full blown like, all right, you guys are like gonna drink tonight. And it started with us like just they like warmed up cases of Keystone Light.
Yeah.
And so we were drinking like hot Keystone Light, and they were just making us chug it for like everything. They're like, if you miss this thing on the scavenger list, you got to chug it. And they're like, you guys also missed this, you got to chug this. So we're just slamming warm beer. There was like one thing at one point where it was like they had a bunch of shot glasses, like Dixie shot cups, filled with either vodka or water, and it was like roulette. So you had to come up, they'd give you like a Jeopardy question to answer. And if you got it wrong, which all of them were like inside jokes and shit, you'd always get it wrong. You'd have to pick it up. And at this point, you're like fucking tanked. And like, you're like, I do not want this. And
I just want water. Please let this be water.
Yeah. It was incredible when it was water. It wasn't when it was vodka. And it was fucking wild. It was a lot of fun. I got like emotional because I also don't handle authority well. I like punched the kids like like front door like light fixture.
Oh,
like
God.
I punched out like a fucking like panel of glass,
like, this
and
guy.
my hand was like bleeding.
Yeah.
They were like, "What
Get
the
this guy
fuck?"
on sevens.
They were like, "What the fuck? Come on, man!"
Come on, Jeebers.
And the funniest thing is like, because I was always in the musical theater, so I was doing like the
5,000.
Yeah, I was singing Rent I was like, come on guys, 500. No, dude, I was trying to stay active in like musical as much as possible because the program was just like a general theater program. Mm-hmm. So I was doing like the dance shows, which were like contemporary dance.
Yeah.
Like, fucking like rolling on the floor, like not jazz musical theater shit, but like dumb, like fucking barefoot.
Yeah, we all saw the Olympics.
Yeah, like ray gun shit. Yeah. And I had tech the next morning for the dance show, and I remember just waking up absolutely still drunk, my hands like bandaged up, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta get back. And like someone knew like they were gonna drive me. I went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror, and I was like, I'm gonna be fucking late, we gotta go. And I looked in the mirror, and my face was just covered in drawings. dicks.
Yeah.
Just everything.
Genitalia
all
of
over my
sorts, yeah.
body. Like, it was like my body. And I just had to go to this fucking tech rehearsal. I tried to wash off as much as possible. I had to go to this tech rehearsal, still drunk, with like dicks on my face. We're like speeding to get there on time. On the freeway, we have to like pull over because I'm like throwing up still. And they like made me dragon. They were like, you got to dragon if you're going to throw up. You got to dragon, because they were like making us do, like, anyone who was throwing up the night before, they were like, you got to flap your wings. And so like I'm on like the side of the highway fucking flapping my wings, throwing up at like 9 a.m. on a Saturday with dicks on my face on my way to a fucking contemporary dance tech rehearsal. And I remember like it was like all seniors and upperclassmen who choreographed the shit. And the choreographer, she was like such a sweetheart. She was like, what are you doing? She was like, why are you doing this? This is fucked up. She was like, you should not be doing this. This is so wrong of them. She was like mad.
Yeah.
And I was like, these are my friends.
Dude, if I had a nickel for every time I've confronted a bully from high school and they've been like, we were just having a good time. And I was like, oh, that broke me.
You were like, oh no, that really stuck with me for a decade.
I still think about it to this day. Goose.
But like, yeah, fucking shout out Goose, fuck you.
No, yeah.
No, but like, I like, but I also enjoyed it. It was fun to be a part of something. It was fun to have that experience.
Yeah.
To see frats and shit, Blue Mountain State. I was like, this is fucking college.
So when you got there and she was saying like the choreographer was like getting upset, did you still do the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, I still did the tech. I
Damn.
was like, she's like, go fucking try to wash yourself off some more, and we'll hold on ours. We'll do another number right now or something like that. And like, I just did it, and you know, hungover. I was transitioning from drunk to hungover.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Oh, it's brutal.
Especially if you don't get a little hair of the dog in you.
And like they had like us wearing like these black, like almost like Under Armour-y tank tops, and like those like bike shorts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like being sausaged into something like that while you're transitioning from drunk to hungover, rolling around on the floor. Like, it was just so like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah,
But
that's
it was
very
fun.
much like a questioning your own reality kind of a situation.
It was definitely an experience. But yeah, so I was like smoking a shit ton, and I remember over winter break, I like me and a bunch of my friends from my hometown like met up, and I had a grinder, and like we like rolled a blunt but used my grinder. And
When you said I had
I had a grinder account.
I
and
literally was like,
swiping.
wait, I thought we like already went over this. What? Emily, what's happening? You are gay?
Yeah, I developed Grindr in 2011.
So you have your grinder
I
to
have
smoke weed.
my grinder.
Yeah.
I forgot about this, but in my backpack I also had a little nips of like Jack Links, or not Jack Links, like Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
That like the choreographers of the dance
Always a
show
company
gave to us.
man.
It was like a company man. It was like a gift that they gave you. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, here's a little from an upperclassman to an underclassman. You can't buy alcohol. He's a little shooter. But I forgot about it. It was there. And we smoked the blunt. We went to Taco Bell. We're on our way to Taco Bell.
Is this still in that same town with that cool downtown and all that stuff?
This is like the upper middle class. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like,
So you're home, mom's still living in the same spot.
yes,
Got it.
Yeah. And we're
Same couch.
same couch still. Yeah. Yeah.
It's called a callback.
That is a callback. Yeah, baby. Yeah, it was like we smoked. I brought my backpack with me, and there was no weed, but I had my grinder in there. And I remember a cop passed us, and my friend was blasting shitty fucking like Parkway Drive, like shitty like metal. That we were into like shitty music.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, we shouldn't be blasting this. And then a cop passed us, and we saw him turn around and follow us, and we were like, fuck. And so instead of turning towards Taco Bell, my buddy just starts driving really slow
Oh, no.
down side streets, and then the cop pulls us over. And I remember taking my grinder and just tucking it as far in between, like into my gooch,
Yeah.
like in like
Your taint area.
yeah. And I just fucking stuffed it in there, and I was like, please, for the love of God, just stay. And they took us out one by one and like asked us, hey, were you smoking? Were you smoking? And my one friend was like, we were all like, no. And my one friend was like, yeah. We were like, you fucking idiot,
Rat.
dude. And they took us out one by one and
Nobody
searched
talks
us.
to the cops.
Literally. And they searched us one by one. And I was the last one. And I remember the guy took me out. He was like, smells fresh on you. And I was like, motherfucking piece of shit. And then,
Why didn't you just hide it in the car?
well, because they were also going to search the car.
Yeah,
They were
okay.
going to pull us out and search the
But
car.
it is one of those interesting things.
If I
where
hide
it's
it in
like,
the car, it's my buddy's responsibility.
Yeah,
'cause it's his
and
car.
also if they're searching you individually, Yeah, I guess that's true because if they don't find anything on you, then they will search the car. But it's one of those, like, if they search the car first, you can stash it in the car.
Right.
If they search the car last, you have to stash it on your person.
Mind you, we're also blitzed.
Yeah, you're high out of your
We're
mind. Your
fucked
kids,
up,
yeah.
18, freaking out, you know? And so I stuff it in there. I have my backpack in there, and he's like patting me down. They're like, all right, spread your legs wider. And like by the miracle of fucking whatever, like this shit's staying. It's not dropping. And so they don't find it, and they're like, all right, well, listen, we know you got something on you. You can either tell us or like we can get dogs in here. And I'm 18 and I'm fucking stupid. So I was just like, I got something in my crotch.
All that work just to tell them?
I was like, I got something in my
Bring
crotch.
on the dogs.
I know I should have, but I didn't have the confidence. And I was like, I got something in my crotch. And then they just like stared at me for a second. I was like, do you want me to get it? And they're like, well, we're not going to go down there. So then I fucking pulled this thing out, and like it's warm at this point.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like, you know, I had beefy thighs, and it was fucking warm. And I just remember handing it over to the guy. And then they found the fucking alcohol and shit too in my bag. And yeah, I mean,
So
got
did they
arrested.
actually like arrest you? Like
Yeah.
handcuffs, the whole deal?
Yeah, so they arrested me and they detained all of us. They arrested me in cuffs, and they arrested my buddy because he had his girlfriend's prescription.
Ooh,
in the car.
that's way worse.
Yeah.
That's way worse.
Yeah. So we both ended up being fine from
Yeah.
it, but it was like we both got cuffed, put in the back of the fucking cruiser, brought over to the cell, and I swear to God, they had all three of us they didn't even put us in the cell. They put us in the fucking like waiting room.
Yeah.
But they cuffed me one-handed to the wall. They put one fucking cuff to the wall. And I remember we were all just so fucking baked. And I remember like my one buddy just like, Trav, like whispering, trying to get my attention. And like I remember just looking up, and his eyes were so red. And we just made eye contact and just started laughing because we
Yeah.
were like, this is ridiculous. It was tough, man.
Did they call your mom? Did you
no,
call your mom?
They told us to call whoever we wanted to. So
yeah,
we called.
because you're 18 now, so you don't.
Right. So we call our buddy who smoked with us earlier. And at this point he had sobered up, but he shows up and they're like, nah, you're fucking stoned. We're not going to let you pick them up. So then his mom ended up coming to get us.
Okay. Did your mom ever find out?
Yeah. I ended up telling my mom. I like really,
What the shit, Travis?
I put the fucking tears on, man. I was like, I'm sorry, I fucked up. And like,
Did you? Because this happened early. This happened like your freshman year. So
Yeah.
when after this happened, because this goes back to what we were joking about earlier with Robert Frost, but there is two paths you can go down, which is like, I'm never going to touch this stuff again. Like, I can't believe this happened. Or if you're like me, where you're like, wow, that was weird. Let's go back to business as usual.
yeah, it was tough. It was right after Christmas. I like wasn't in a great spot in my own life. You know what I mean? Like, and I like it definitely sucked at the time, but like you said, for me it was the best thing because it was like the fire under my ass that I was like, okay, I'm fucking not doing anything at this college that I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm, like I'm just partying. I really want to pursue something in a intense way.
Yeah.
Like this is bullshit. I gotta, and so it like lit the fire under my ass to like start applying and like auditioning to other schools and transfer.
Look at that, full circle.
Yeah, it was honestly like I kind of
Way
credit
to
that as one of the
stick the
best
landing.
things that ever happened to me, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple of those things in my life where it's like it seems horrific, and none of my arrests, fuck them, but like it seems horrific at the time. But you're like, oh, that's what needed to happen for this. Because, and it's interesting. I listen to one of the podcasts that I like. Ryan Stickler has a show called The Honeydew, and he always asks the first-time guests, he'll always go, what would you go back and tell your 16-year-old self? And I think about that all the time because I'm like, oh, would I be like, hey, you don't drink now, don't ever drink, or hey, like stick with football, like, hey, get into the gym, try and get better at this, take that Division II scholarship, don't fucking say no and go to a D1 school that you have to pay for. Like, what would I say? And then I always think about it, it's like, no, I live in New York, I do a podcast, and I do stand-up comedy, like, everything worked out just the way it was gonna. Yeah,
I mean, everything informs who you are now.
Yeah.
All the ups, all the downs. Like, it's there are so many times in my life where I go, man, I really wanted to do this and didn't do that, or I was bummed I didn't do this, and then I realized, like, whoa, if I actually did that, I wouldn't have gotten this.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I almost did, like, a Disney cruise, and, like, to fucking be, shit, I forget the fucking...
Goofy?
No, the guy from Mary Poppins. I was like pretty trim at the time still,
yeah.
and I like can kind of dance like
The
tap
chimney
dance
sweep
shit.
guy?
Yeah, Bert. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna be Bert and like some other bullshit fucking tracks. And I was like, I got the offer. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go, I guess. And I remember like I was in consideration for this like new musical, and it was like a regional theater like 6-week contract. But I was like, this is something that like could lead to something.
Yeah, something cool. Yeah.
And so I was just like, actually, I'm going to turn this down. And then it's like, I got my first like TV job. I got my first movie. I got, like I got like 3 of my first like on camera acting jobs, which like ultimately was what I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
As a kid, musical theater and like theater and plays and shit. Like that was all just what was accessible, you know?
But now you're a big shot.
Now I'm
You're hanging out with the fucking, the Sasquatch.
I can say a couple lines.
Well, it is to bring it completely full circle. It is the Philip Seymour Hoffman line in Charlie Wilson's War, the Zen Master story. We'll see.
I'm not familiar with the movie, unfortunately.
So it's a really good movie, but he tells the story of the Zen Master. And the abridged version is there's a boy in a village, and for the boy's 14th birthday, he gets a horse. And everyone goes, oh, how wonderful, the boy got a horse. And the Zen Master goes, we'll see. And then the boy's riding the horse, falls off the horse and breaks his arm. And everyone in the village goes, oh, how terrible that the boy broke his arm.
But
and
then
the
he
Zen
doesn't
Master
like get
goes,
drafted into
we'll
a war
see.
and doesn't die.
Then a war breaks out, and everyone goes, how wonderful, the boy doesn't have to go to war. And the Zen Master says, we'll see. So it is very much like, to your point, and to everyone, I mean, everyone listening knows this, but it's like, we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, exactly.
All my arrests, those are my best bits. That's my A material now.
Dude, yeah, I mean,
Got me out of jury duty, for God's sakes.
It's like the number of times I've heard comics on podcasts like recently, like who are like, they were like, obviously I'm glad something traumatic didn't happen. Like, it's like Sam Morril talking about fucking Ryan Hamilton getting hit by a bus.
Yeah.
He's like, but there is that fleeting moment where I'm like, oh man, I wish I got hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Like he's like,
Dude.
it would give me 30 minutes, or something like that.
I think
like,
about it
butchering
all the time when I'm walking home late night from a club. I'm like, if I got mugged and got beat up like just enough,
That's a fresh 10.
dude, fresh 10. That's a couple grand from a GoFundMe. Like,
Yeah,
come
baby.
on,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, dude. I got hit by a car. Not going to talk about it any more than that, but I got hit by a car.
Yeah.
You did too.
Yeah. I got hit by, when I was in college. Blew that money. God, it was so stupid. Dude, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Holy shit. Yeah,
we're out of time.
I'm long-winded. I'm sorry. That was literally one of my stories, or 2. I don't know, whatever. But
Yeah, we went through all of it except
had a
West
good
Village
time.
and Beer Olympics.
Bro,
Plus, you threw in some ones you didn't
these were the
mention.
better ones. These
Yeah.
were the best ones.
Arrested's always a good one.
Yeah.
Plug everything one more time. Social media, where people can find you, all that stuff.
Young Rosacea, check out my fucking, I don't know, my IMDb. Book me on your shows. I'm kind of funny, I think, and like I do
Very
give a
funny.
shit.
Very funny.
Greedy People, Law and Order SVU, and fucking some commercials here. Jack
YouTube
Links.
the Jack Links commercials because
It's a
those
fun
are
time.
very funny.
It's a fun time.
Thank you everybody so much for listening at Brennan T Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com. I have dates in Connecticut, Boston, Los Angeles, Florida, all coming up, spring, summer area. And check out the website for all the ticket information. We'll talk to y'all next week,
Also,
baby.
Heavy Set Comedy. Follow Heavy Set Comedy. That's my
Follow Heavy
production.
Set
I'm
Comedy.
going to start that shit back up again.
Are you?
I'm going to try. Yeah, I'm going to give it a go eventually.
I'm available Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays.
Gotcha. Yeah, hit me with the avails.
We'll talk to y'all next week. Boom.
Peace. Dude.
Wow. Dude, that was fun.